collected here some wildflowers, including a lovely white foxglove, and there is some great willow herb, and I've got some meadowsweet and a couple of bits of rosebay willow herb as well. And I've done a drawing here where I have done out the white foxglove, a little bit of the rosebay willow herb, great willow herb, and just roughly indicated where my meadowsweet is going to be. I'm not going to draw in great detail there. Before I begin to paint, I need to think about where the background is going to be light and where it's going to be dark. And I'd like to bring it from light at the top down towards darker tones at the bottom, as if the plants are growing out of grasses and other foliage. So where plants have dark colours like this willow herb here, and it's against a dark background, I can simply paint the background first and put the flowers over the top. Where I've got white flowers lower down in the painting, I would either need to paint around the white flowers, leaving the paper untouched, or to get a looser wash over the bottom, I would need to preserve the white paper by covering it with masking fluid, which needs to dry before I can begin to paint. And over here, where I have the meadowsweet, I shall do a little bit of masking as well. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll come back to this when all the masking fluid is on. I've now applied masking fluid to the parts which I want to preserve. As you can see here, it's not fully dry. I've also put it on not only the small flowers, but on the lower stems of the meadowsweet plant, because they're red, and if my background down here ends up rather solidly green, it might be difficult to apply red over that. Even if I lift some, it'll go brown, because the red and the green together will make brown. I've dabbed in a few little dots of masking fluid over the meadowsweet, where you get almost like a little berry shape, the buds before they open to become flowers. Up to this point, I've used a brush, but I rinse it frequently in a little solution of diluted dishwashing liquid, and you can see that the masking fluid I've used today is the colourless one. I find it helpful when I'm painting white flowers to have the paper white visible through the paint rather than the yellow or blue of tinted masking fluids. It's slightly more difficult to see it, but if you just tilt it towards the light, you will be able to see it if that's the one you're using. It's not a bad idea when you get to an area like this where one flower overlaps the other and you're masking it as a solid shape, to take a photograph of it before you begin to cover it with masking fluid, because sometimes when you remove the masking fluid, it lifts a lot of your graphite pencil markings and you can't see what's what. So if you've got the photograph first, you can refer to that later. Now I need to allow this to dry. What I may do, because of my meadowsweet here having tiny little wisps that protrude from the fuzzy shapes, I'm going to use a ruling pen in this area just to flick out a few little masking fluid lines, just to give me those little wisps.